Hi. So for this video, I chose to do an artist to discuss their relevancy to the history of art. So I chose to do Vincent van Gogh, and I've actually discussed him a little bit in some of my other discussions and did one of my critiques about one of his pieces. But I continue to be amazed by him, and I really love his artwork, and I think a lot of people across the world continue to be influenced by him and learn so much from his pieces. And even people who don't know anything about art are also amazed by it and learn so much from it. And so Vincent van Gogh was influenced by the Impressionism and Post-Impressionism movement, but specifically fell into the Post-Impressionism movement. But he, led more towards the Expressionism movement and kind of valued more of that and showed more Expressionism in his art, and started to mold that and became the base of that, I guess. So for the Impressionism movement, he represented that in the way of the line shading that he had in his artwork. So this piece is called Old Man with His Head in His Hands, and you can really tell like the shading, like the very thin lines, as well as this one down here. This one's called Carpenter, and you can really see the shading, and you can tell that Vincent van Gogh went from a very dark palette to very vibrant colors, which you can also see in his painting Starry Night and a lot of his other pieces too. So he went from dark colors and to more bright colors, and for the Impressionism movement, they valued light and color and atmosphere, and also a theory of the Impressionism movement was that they perceived that reality was perceived by personal emotion and memory, and a lot of Van Gogh's pieces were what he experienced in his personal emotion. Like specifically in Starry Night, it was how he felt when he was in this psychiatric hospital, as they say, and that this was the view that he had outside of his window. So and the colors he used like dark blue colors, and used like yellow, and just the balance of the colors. You could really tell that there was a lot of emotion in that, and especially in these as well. There's so much emotion in this, and I feel like I can really relate to that. And so he incorporated so much emotion in his pieces. And I think a reason why he shifted more towards the Expressionism movement was because a lot of this emotion that he portrayed in his pieces were not always experienced, and that was something big in the Impressionism movement. Is it was experienced, and it was from memory. But the Expressionism movement was more like within yourself, and the creation of it, and your own judgment of it, and your emotional state and how you were in that moment, and represented a lot of swirling and swaying, exaggerated brush strokes. So you could see that definitely in Van Gogh's Starry Night. And so I think that Vincent van Gogh has been a huge influence over the history of art, and many of his pieces are actually his pieces are some of the most expensive that have ever been bidded for. And even the thing about Van Gogh is that he didn't even become famous until after his death, and he never sold any of his paintings when he was alive, and he was poor, and he didn't have a lot. And I think that really shapes people. Like, I think that really was significant in his work, and he showed so much emotion that people really want to follow that. And a lot of people can say that they feel his pain through his work too, and that's very popular now, especially now, because there's so much more emotion in artwork now, and people are really able to follow that and can have a feel of emotion, and aren't afraid to incorporate that because they've seen it, and it's just like they were able to do this. And throughout history, he really shaped the Expressionism movement specifically, and his brushstroke techniques really inspired art in the 20th century.